Alrighty, hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the podcast. Before we hop into this episode, I'm recording this as I'm editing it. There were some issues last episode with the audio, and for the first about 10 minutes of this episode, there's going to be some issues with the audio. It's all from Wyatt's end because we don't know how yet to get both of our audios to sound great together. We think we figured it out this episode. The further you skip into the video, the better the audio should sound. We now know how to fix that. It should be good from every episode of the podcast from here on out. This is episode 2. I want to thank you all for watching, and I guess now a Luke from the past is going to be doing an intro.
Alrighty, it is currently 11:07 p.m. on Monday, December 14th. I am your co-host, Luke Edmonds, alongside my other co-host, Wyatt Huff. Today is episode 2 of the Benchwarmers podcast. Just a quick thing about what we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering the James Harden sweepstakes, which is still in progress, and there's a lot of news and information that has come up today that we didn't have last time that we recorded the pod. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the pros and cons of what we've seen from each NBA team this preseason so far. We're going to be talking about what was the situation with LaMelo Ball and the Pistons. We got a quote from LeVar Ball from that, not us, but we found a quote. And then my co-host, who's about to introduce himself, Wyatt, is going to go over his top 25, Wyatt Huff's AP top 25 college basketball teams for this 2020 season. And to end it off, we're going to be doing something unsports related, but we tied a little bit of sports into it. We're going to be doing a top 16 fast food bracket. We have McDonald's, we have Taco Bell, we have Pizza Hut, we have just a bunch of fast food restaurants that you're going to be able to watch and listen to see who we have as the winner. Alongside me today, my co-host, Wyatt. Wyatt, take it away on your introduction.
Hey Luke, how you doing?
Doing good, how are you?
Good. We got a jam-packed show today, don't we?
We very much do have a jammed-packed show today.
I'm excited.
I am
excited
this.
For that food bracket.
We wanted to. Okay, so like we said last episode, we are from Kentucky, from us being Kentucky fans. So if you don't know about it, I don't listen to it often, but pretty much every day. Why would you say you listen to KSR?
Yeah. Oh yeah, every day.
So we're both big either KSR or just sports fans. And the one thing that KSR does that we like, on top of, being a organization that talks about sports, is they also incorporate non-sports stuff into it. And, we can only talk about sports for so long before we get bored of it just as much as our listeners probably would. And speaking of listeners, before we go any further, I do want to thank you all. We have 7 subscribers after the first week, which, in the long run is not going to sound like a lot. But, after just putting out one episode of our podcast and sharing it to a few friends and families, that's the kind of love and support we get, and that's the kind of love and support we hope to get for the rest of the podcast. So thank you all who are listening now, and thank you all who will be listening to this, and thank you all who have listened to the last podcast. We really appreciate you for giving us a platform to do this, and for giving us just a place to kind of talk about sports other than just, at one of our houses. So let's hop right into it, shall we? I think we should start with the James Harden sweepstakes. So I have a quote from Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald that says, "Though Heat loves Tyler Hero, the source advised against any conclusion that he wouldn't be made available if the Harden deal is more serious in the talks. He would be in place." So what do we, as Kentucky fans, it's a little hurtful to see that Tyler Hero's on the trading block, but as NBA fans, It's kind of shocking after the performance he was able to put on last postseason.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me why they don't have him as untouchable. And I also get it that they want James Harden if he's able to go, but they have to give something in return, so that makes sense to give up Tyler Hero.
In a different quote from that same person, Barry Jackson at the Miami Herald, we also got this quote: "Miami's best possible hypothetical trade would be Hero," so remember that, along with, I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize to this person, Precious Achua, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, the Heat's 2025 and 2027 first-round picks, which would require Miami and Oklahoma City agreeing to unlock their protection on the Heat's 2023 first-rounder owed by the Thunder, and Kelly Olynyk and Andre Iguodala as a cap facilitator. So, as a Rockets fan, how do you feel about the possibility of you getting rid of Harden, possibly somebody else, getting in return Hero, Nunn, Robinson, Olynyk, Iguodala, any of those handful of players? How are you feeling about that?
Okay, so this kind of goes along like what I said last podcast, because, I mean, we already have John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, but I said we needed that third star, but if you're going to give up a guy like James Harden, you're going to need those good role players that is on the Heat right now, and even if it's just like 2 or 3 of them, that should be fine.
So,
like that.
We saw Andre Iguodala in, 2015 with the Warriors win the Finals MVP.
Yeah.
If they get anything similar to that Andre Iguodala, along with a great young trio of Hero, Nunn, and Robinson, I think that this is somewhat of a win for Houston, because if Harden wants out, Harden's not going to be playing his best. He's not going to be trying 100%. He's going to want to out. I think it's something in return for it. And if you can get Ben Simmons or any of the trades I mentioned the other day, I think it's best to go for this trade.
Yeah, I agree, because based on all the teams between the Nets, Milwaukee, forgot about Milwaukee, Philly, and Miami has the best role players of all those teams. Because, I mean, you have, who is it? Iguodala, Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn,
Tyler Hero.
Everybody, Duncan Robinson.
Tyler Hero.
Even Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Dude, that is a great young team, and if you can get some pieces from that team, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, so, speaking of the Miami Heat, since we're both on the topic of basketball, I have taken the liberty of this episode. I'm going through our Week 1, way too early, top 2 pros and cons for each preseason game. So, I started by looking at day 1 of preseason, and that's about as far as I went. So, here are some things that I picked up. And after each of these, we're going to talk Atlanta Hawks. Lost their game 1 to Orlando. Here's some of their pros. They out-rebounded their opponent 61-49, and Cameron Reddish looks like a good basketball player. He played at Duke, right?
Yeah.
He looked like how he looked at Duke when he had Zion, except for the fact that he fell to them at 10 when Zion went at 1. He looks like a top 10 player, and that's how they drafted him. He didn't look like that much last season. But it's good to know that Atlanta's getting somebody like this in this season who, now they don't have to look back at their last draft and see that they didn't really do much. Now that they have this player that they can look on and say, you know what, we're really happy that we made that decision.
Yeah, I knew what Cam could do ever since he was at Duke. It was just, I mean, you had Zion and R.J. Barrett on the same team with you. Can't really do much.
Mm-hmm. The cons to this game, however, were plentiful. They got, other than rebounds, they got outscored by the Magic in every statistical category. I'm talking assists. I'm talking higher field goal, free throw, 3-point percentage. I'm talking rebounds, points. I mean, pretty much everything they were outscored on. So it's just shocking to see the Hawks play this way.
I'm looking at the turnovers and fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Turnovers, they had 23, and I think the Magic had 15. I think that's what yeah. And I just think that if you're going to commit as many turnovers as you had, you need to get more points in return. So, basically, this is a fairly even match because, I mean, they had points off turnovers. So, they had 24, and the Magic had 22. So, it was a fairly even matchup based on the score. So, I mean, I think if one thing needs to improve, it's their 3-point percentage. Good Lord, I'm looking at that right now, 31%.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know how much of that blame can be put on the Atlanta Hawks. I think some of the credit there has to go to the Magic's defense. I mean, that's one of their pros was their defense. Other than them shooting 46% from the field, Markelle Fultz looks like a good basketball player for really the first time in his NBA career. Some of the cons I caught from that game was a 28% from 3-point range, and really, as a basketball team, getting 49 rebounds in a 48-minute game is kind of, dare I say, pathetic.
Yeah. Because most teams usually get at least 80 a game. At least.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go to the next game. Pistons versus Knicks. Knicks took this game. Pistons and Knicks both had the pro of their rookies are looking very good. For the Pistons, it's Killian Hayes and Sadiq Bey, and for the Knicks, it's Obi Toppin. They look like good basketball players. Along with the Pistons having Blake Griffin, who looks like Blake Griffin, the cons was they shot 25% from 3, and they let up 22 more points in the paints than they scored. Not just they let up 22. If you take what they had and you add 22 to it, that's how many the other team had. So I think that their interior defense could use a bit of work.
I don't have much to say on this because I can't get anything to pull up right now. You can go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So I'll start talking about the next game the next team, which was the Knicks. Obi Toppin, like I said, looks like a good basketball player. And the Knicks, in my opinion, after so many years of it, I think I'm officially going to say this. And if this podcast keeps going the way I think it will, and we keep recording every Monday and posting every Tuesday, then I think I could regret these words. But I think the Knicks are no longer in the mode to tank. I think that this is the first time that the Knicks are going to put up a record that Knicks fans are, dare I say, happy with. I think that they're going to be impressed with, but the problem that I see from them is at the end of the first half, they shot 16% from 3. I don't really see a dominant 3-point shooter on that Knicks team yet.
16%?
Only at the end of the half. I think at the end of the game that it was a bit higher than that, but at the end of the first half, it was 16%. Along with Mitchell Robinson, I think, forgetting how to shoot a basketball. If you look at his stats, they're absolutely terrible.
I mean, he played 22 minutes, and I talked to Luke about this before we started recording. I said, yeah, I mean, this is preseason, so, I mean, it don't really matter, but still, I mean, you got to look better than that. You played 22 minutes, put up 2 points, and 7 rebounds.
So
with
the 7 rebounds, you know at least that he's trying to play basketball. But the fact that he can go down there, and I'm sure they're feeding him, the fact he can't put the ball in the basket is something that I think the Knicks fans should worry about.
Yeah, I agree. That's a major scoring problem they got right there.
So I am going to go to the next game, which is the Houston Rockets versus the Chicago Bulls. And I'll say this right now. And I think that, Wyatt, as soon as I say it, you will 100% agree with it. I think that John Wall is back.
Oh, John Wall is definitely back. If you watch that, I know me and you both watched that game. I knew as soon as he scored that first layup, I'd looked at his face. He was grinning, and I knew John Wall was back.
Another takeaway that I found from this game is I think that Eric Gordon is still a good basketball player. There was some concerns after last season where he didn't really do much, he did a lot for the team, but it came down to this season. His stats are really showing that he remembers how to play basketball, and he's still really good at it. The few cons that I had for that Houston Rockets team is their bench unit was pretty unproductive, and they had 9 more fouls than their opponent. Those aren't huge cons for me, and not huge turnoffs from this team for me. But I think ultimately those are things that need to be worked on.
Yeah, that's one thing this Houston team lacks is the production from the bench. We mostly ride at least 6 or 7 guys Oh, I mean, we need more bench production. And guess what? Guess what will get us that? Getting the role players from Miami.
So,
That's what.
going back to this, you think as a Rockets fan that the one thing that this Houston Rockets team is missing is those key players that you could trade James Harden away for?
Yes, I agree. And what, this Rockets team look very good without James Harden. Without an unhappy James Harden.
Well, I somewhat agree with that, but I want to take a look real quick at the Bulls' pros and cons. So the pros that I had for the Bulls is that Kobe White played a solid 23 minutes of basketball. I had very little problems with the stats that Kobe White put up. And Noah Vonleh is going to be a good bench player for the Chicago Bulls team. The cons that I had for this Bulls team were plentiful. However, I chose to pick two for each team, and looking back on it, that was a bad idea because I saw way more cons for the Chicago Bulls team than I did pros. They had way too many turnovers. Just that's too many turnovers for this Bulls team to be giving up to a Houston Rockets team who really doesn't have that great of a defense. They have good defensive players, but they don't have enough. They don't have enough defense for you to give up that much. To be giving up that many turnovers.
Yeah. That's an insane amount of turnovers.
And keep in mind, we're only talking about the first game. We're not talking about every game. We're just talking about game one. But still, I think that's too many turnovers. As a Rockets fan, do you think that you have a good defense?
I don't know. I'll just go ahead and say no. I think it'll get better as the season goes on.
Well, because right now, I don't think that I would put... If I'm thinking of good defenses, I'm not putting the Rockets up there. I mean, I'm putting the Clippers up there, but at this moment in time, do you have the stats pulled up in front of you?
The game stats
from
Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Can you tell me exactly how many turnovers that Bulls team had?
21.
From game one?
Yeah.
Okay, well they had 18 they had 17 in the second game.
Oh, 17?
So that's a decrease, but those are still are still too many turnovers to be giving up.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you look in the first game, this points off turnovers, they had 35 off our... That ain't right. 35 off of Rockets' 6 turnovers?
That's impossible.
That can be right. All right, I think the stat thing was messed up, but anyway, they had a lot of points off our turnovers because they probably converted every time.
Assumably. Now
that's still insane, and they still got blown out.
Now this next game, did you watch the Clippers-Lakers game?
No, I didn't get to.
I want to tell you about this Clippers-Lakers game one. I am pulling it up now, so if you hear typing, that's what's happening. I want to read you off everybody that the Lakers played in this game, and I want you to tell me who you think won. So, remember, this is a preseason game, so nothing's really telling. But here's some of the key players that the Clippers had. Kawhi, Paul George, Patrick Beverley, Patrick Patterson, Ivica Zubac, Reggie Jackson, Lou Will. Like, they had a solid team. Here's the Lakers. Here's all the players that the Lakers played. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Kuzma, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, Quinn Cook, Devontae Kakik, Kostas Antetokounmpo, and Alex Caruso. So pretty much their bench unit, right?
Yeah.
No Davis, no LeBron. Lakers win 87-81.
Yeah. And I saw the final score, and I was like, it must have been a good game. And I looked at the box score. I was like, this is preseason. And, I mean, the Lakers played way more players than the Clippers did. But the Clippers also played a solid unit. And they still got beat by a bunch of bench guys. So I don't know if that means the Lakers' bench is more experienced and more well coached, and they just outplayed them just because it was preseason and they needed to show something.
Well,
More playing time in the season.
some of the pros and cons that I'm seeing from this game, I'll talk about the pros that I saw from the Clippers. Paul George scores the most points on the team, so it's good, even though he only had 10 points, and 10 points is the most points somebody scored on a team. To say he has the most points on the team is refreshing after what he accomplished last postseason. However, the Clippers can out-rebound a LeBron-less, Anthony Davis-less team. That's good to know. Because the one thing I thought that they would struggle with last postseason was out-rebounding that Lakers team, and I think that now it's been proven that they can somewhat do it, even if it's not at the highest level possible. I think that they can somewhat do it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
But the cons that I had were also plentiful, with Kawhi not playing well at all. He had, let me check, he had 14 minutes, 3 points, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. Like, it's like if that were his regular season stats, he would be getting paid to run around.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't like to be a critic in preseason because it's preseason.
Yeah, and I don't either, but we started this podcast to talk about sports, and we really started it at a weird time. Football season's coming to an end.
And basketball is in preseason mode.
And college basketball is right at the start, so it's really too early and too late to call most things. But some other things that I saw from the Clippers that I didn't care for much was there was a lot of unproduction. Only one player scored in the double digits, and that one player was Paul George, who scored 10. So pretty much everybody else who went out there and ran around scored less than 10 points.
Wow.
Some of the pros that I found...
They played a solid unit.
Yeah, they played
a solid group.
They played their starting lineup. Like, they played what they're going to play in the regular season. So imagine adding a LeBron and an Anthony Davis to that Lakers team who beat them with their bench unit.
I mean, again, you probably have to think, if this was so, like, let's say towards the end of the regular season, but towards the like not trying part.
Yeah.
Before the not trying part at the end of the season, you have to think. I bet the Clippers would try way harder than they did the other night.
And,
I bet it would have been a way better game.
And I mean, I found some pros I found some cons from this Lakers bench unit, but there were a lot of pros. The pros were the Lakers bench can win games, and Talen Horton-Tucker is a stud. Now, we're only talking about the game one, because if we did this for every game, it'd take a lot, but I'm pretty sure in this latest Lakers versus Clippers game, Talen Horton-Tucker dropped 33 points. But
I mean, that just shows you that there's a lot of bench guys that go unnoticed, and then the preseason and in the summer league, they have their time to shine.
But is this year's Taylor Horton-Tucker last year's Alex Caruso, or is this going to be somebody who can also be dominant in the regular season?
To be honest, I don't know.
See, that was the question I had for myself. Now, I did find some cons about this Lakers team. The Lakers point guards need to assist. Like, when you think of a point guard, you think of assist. Between their 5 guards, they shared 4 assists.
How many?
4. Between 5 of their guards, they played 5 guards, they had 4 assists.
Wow. That ain't gonna get it done. That ain't. There's no excuse for that.
And yeah, we'll go back to it. This is preseason, but if you want to start a team in a preseason game, that means those players are gonna hopefully make the team. And if you're gonna start a point guard, their starting point guard had no assists. Like, that's pretty much unexcusable. However, Kostas Antetokounmpo is just getting paid to run around. In 24 minutes, he got 1 point and 4 rebounds. Like, he's getting paid to go out there and run some sprints. How are you feeling about somebody whose brother is an MVP getting 1 point and 4 rebounds?
No, I mean, okay. I've always thought he was a good player before he got in the NBA, but I don't think one rebound
No,
that
no.
isn't good.
4 rebounds, 1 point. He had 4 rebounds and 1 point, and he wasn't playing.
4 rebounds.
Yeah, 4 rebounds and 1 point.
Oh, you keep cutting in and out, so I'll try my best.
Sorry. Yeah. I'll try to fix that. Let me. Okay. I think it should be fixed now. I think I just clicked something. However, we're gonna jump over to the Portland Trailblazers Sacramento Kings game. Let's start with the Trailblazers. Carmelo Anthony scored 20 points. I think we need to give Carmelo Anthony a round of applause. He really.
That was good. That was good.
Carmelo Anthony is back to being a role player. Like he's not back to being the old Carmelo from the Nuggets or from the Knicks. He's back to being a role player. He's somebody that the Blazers can use on top of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard to be a good player. Also, the Trailblazers had 6 players in double-digit scoring. That's a good team right there. However, Portland guards really need to play defense. Both guards from Sacramento had over 15 points. Like, that's just something that over time they're going to learn. But it's not like their guards aren't Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Those are 2 all-stars who have had time to learn, but I think in their second game it got a lot better. However, that Trailblazers team had 38 turnovers.
That's way too many.
Earlier,
That's probably the most I've seen in a while.
Yeah. However, the Sacramento Kings, Buddy Hield drops 23, and De'Aaron Fox is a light spot in the dark. However, they shot at a low field percentage, and they played a pretty bad defensive game. Now, that's all I had for the NBA preseason. Game 1, kind of our pros and cons. So, we're going to talk about something that we talked about a relation to in our last episode. Now, LiAngelo Ball, for those who don't know, was signed to a 1-year non-guaranteed contract with the Detroit Pistons. Now, before even playing a game, they sat him out 2 of their preseason games. They cut him. We have a quote from LeVar Ball that says, "I definitely have thoughts on that when asked about it. The people in Detroit here are great. So if you're a Detroit fan, know that LeVar Ball was happy with LiAngelo's time in Detroit. I love the fans, but the franchise over there is raggedy. They don't know a good player. I was giving them a lottery pick for free. He has the skills to play and the notoriety to bring everyone to the game. How do you throw that out the window? They're going to learn the hard way. My boys are going to end up together playing somewhere. Jello can shoot the lights out. That was raggedy what they did. But hey, they're going to have to learn the hard way." So that was LeVar Ball after his son, LiAngelo Ball, getting cut after not playing a game for the Pistons. Wyatt, can I get somewhat your take on cutting a player before they've even shown you how they can play?
Okay, so I've always thought that LiAngelo isn't the best ball brother, but I mean, this was before preseason, so I mean, unless they saw something in off-season camp or like right after the draft, and like they did drills, and if they didn't like him, and I mean, they can cut him, but I think they should have held him on to at least a few more weeks to see what he can do in a preseason game.
And I think at the very least, keeping him for a preseason game isn't the end of the world. Showing him showing him that this is how you run the operation, and giving him a chance to prove himself to you. Now, Wyatt, you have a Kentucky Wildcat Instagram that I'm going to shout out here. Go follow Wildcat Wave on Instagram. It's WILDCAT_WAVE on Instagram. You don't have any other social medias, right?
No, not that I use. No, I mean I use a Twitter, but I don't do anything on it.
Well,
I really don't.
Well, you also have your own podcast, right?
Yeah, I just started it.
So go listen to that. Where can they find that, and what's it called?
You can find it on Spotify, and I think that's just it for right now. Spotify is the only platform,
And what's it called?
and it's called the Wildcat Wave Podcast.
All right, so go check that out. Now, you cover a lot of college basketball on there, but mostly UK. However, we wanted to start a segment this week that every Monday when we record that we're going to talk about, and that segment is the Wyatt Huff AP Top 25. Now, when you think of the Top 25 in NCAA, you always think of the ranked teams. Now, some people think that some teams are undeserving, and some people think that more teams are deserving. So since I don't know enough about college basketball, Wyatt every Monday is going to give you his top 25 AP rankings, and he's going to start here now. So Wyatt, unveil your number one pick for your number one seed in this NCAA season so far.
Number one in college basketball top 25 for this week is Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. So what led you to put Gonzaga there?
I think their offense is legit, and their whole team is legit. I mean, they have the pieces. They have all the pieces. They have their starting five is really, really good. They have Andrew Nimhard as their sixth man coming off the bench, and I think that gives them a spark. They have Jalen Suggs, their starting point guard, who I watched when he was in high school. He is one of the most insane point guards I've seen since, I hate to say since the De'Aaron Fox year, but I'll go and say, I'll go and say since the De'Aaron Fox year at Kentucky.
All right, and so can you give me two and
also they have Drew Timme, who's really shined here in the last few weeks. He's made a name for himself, because most people last year, they didn't think he was gonna be all that good, and then he turned into insane. And Corey Kispert's pretty good too. He's one of the best shooters in college basketball right now. And let me look, and that's all the players I have to go through on that team. Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to dive as deep into all the teams because this is a podcast that we're going to try to shoot for being between 35 minutes to an hour. That's a big range, but right now we're around the 31 minute mark, and you're going to cover a few more teams, and we're going to do our bracket. Then that's going to be the episode. But I want to hear the rest of your top five if you just want to go through them and explain some of the rest of your top five. So let's hear 2 through 4.
2 through 4 of Iowa, Baylor, Villanova, and Kansas at number 5.
So do you know where they rank in actual, in the actual AP poll? I think I have it pulled up. So Gonzaga's 1, you have Gonzaga 1. Baylor and Iowa, you have switched. Baylor being 3 and Iowa being 1. In yours, Baylor and Iowa are actually 2 and 3. Now, Michigan State is number 4. And I haven't heard their name yet, which means that you have them below 4. So, right now we don't know where they are. But can you tell us somewhat of an explanation of not having an undefeated team in your top 5?
Michigan State, I didn't really see much. I saw a lot in their season opener. Wyatt Watts is an up-and-comer. He's really shined since last year, because last year he was overshadowed by Cassius Winston. But now they don't have that Cassius Winston. And now he needed somebody to step up, and that's Wyatt Watts. But I haven't really seen the consistency with this Michigan State team as far as how good their offense is at this point and how good they can be. But for right now, I have them setting at number 7.
All right, so you have Kansas at 5, correct?
Yeah.
Kansas has a loss. Now, I know that in college basketball, a loss doesn't really mean as much as it does anywhere else. However, Michigan State is 6-0, Houston is 4-0, Tennessee 2-0, Florida State 3-0, Missouri 5-0. Can you give us the explanation of what you saw from Kansas that puts them above teams that you haven't seen little from?
I think even though they've barely squeaked by teams like Creighton and Indy State, they barely beat them. But again, I know what their offense can do, and right now I have them setting at 5. Right now, I don't want to bump them back too far, because I know what Jalen Wilson has really been a star this year. Ever since they played us, after that, he has been their best player, and I know what Bryce Thompson can do. He's a freshman. He's a freshman guard. I know what he can do. So that's why I have them at 5. I don't want to knock them back too far.
So let's hear the rest of your 25. Let's just go from 6 to 25, and then afterwards we'll find some inconsistencies in it, some things that each of us would change, and then we'll compare it to the actual top 25 that I'm looking at the NCAA release. So let's hear it.
West Virginia is number 6. I know how good the defense is. I know that Bob Huggins is always going to have that defensive team, but also not just defense on this West Virginia team. They have offense as well. And number 7, Michigan State. I explained a while ago. Illinois at number 8.
Hang on.
I have Illinois at number 8.
Illinois at number 8. Now that's the biggest jump we've had so far. NCAA has them ranked at 13. Now that means you have them over Creighton, who you said just barely lost to Kansas. So can we get the explanation behind why you have this Illinois team so high with 2 losses compared to where everybody else you have is?
Well, to me it's simple. I watched Illinois play Duke the other night for the second time this season. I watched Illinois play for the second time, and I saw something in that Duke game that I haven't saw. Illinois jumped out to a huge lead against Duke. Absolutely crushed them that night. And not only is their offense good, as most people have said, this Illinois offense is one of the probably top 3 in the country, but their defense showed up too. So when their defense shows up, their team is very good, and they have a lot of pieces to go with it. They have a lot of pieces on their team that contribute to this. Illinois, I think Illinois can be a Final Four team.
Well, that's a big take right there. Like I'm gonna hold you to that. When the Final Four comes and we're doing our podcast in a Monday around the Final Four, I'm gonna bring up the fact that you have Illinois in it. So let's keep going with your top 25, and I'll see some more insimilarities.
Hey, I have a question. Am I bothering you, like, going through teams and talking about them, or do you want me to just read them all?
No, you just read them, dude. This is what the podcast is. This is what people want to hear.
Okay, thanks. Tennessee at number 9. They're the exact thing that Kentucky was supposed to be. They're insanely deep with freshmen coming in, Jaden Springer, who's really good. But they have something Kentucky doesn't have, and that's experience. They have their center coming back, Wilkerson. I will say this: last year I was kind of not very on him, but this year I'm way higher because he's one of those guys that kind of fly under the radar, and you're like, oh, he's just an overhyped guy. But no, I watched him the other night. This team looked insanely good. Uvaeus Pons is back. He's probably the best defender in college basketball. One of the best defenders in college basketball. I'll say one of.
Now,
but yeah, this Tennessee team is legit.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but what number are you on?
I'm on number 9.
I haven't heard Creighton yet. Are they coming?
Yeah, Creighton comes in at my number 10.
Okay.
Their offense is probably, again, when they can't shoot threes, they struggle. But when they can hit threes like they did in that Kansas game and make the plays down the stretch as they need to, they'll be in games. But they live and die by the 3. That's why I don't have them That's why I don't have them higher, because they don't have enough weapons as I thought they would have coming into the year. But they're still a good team, but they can't do anything more than just shoot the three and score. They're basically a scoring team. They don't have much defense.
Is that not what we saw from that Golden State Warriors team that made so many people eat their words with their 73-9 season?
That's exactly what you see.
So how can you?
Because this Creighton team. Sorry, what?
How can you be upset at a team that a similarity to them was arguably the greatest team of all time?
Well, I mean, you gotta think this Creighton team doesn't have much stars at all. Mostly have a bunch of shooters, but they're good shooters, and that's why they're ranked so high. Because when they shoot the three, they're deadly. You don't really, in college, you don't really have to have the stars, as long as you have the experience. And shooting the ball has become really important in college basketball over the years.
So go ahead with
in terms of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Number 11 is Texas. I didn't watch a full game, but I watched a little bit of the game. We all know Greg Brown is. Oh, he's insane. I watched his first dunk of his college career the other night, or not the other night, but it was like a week ago. He dunked on, I think he did a windmill in some guy's face, and I was like, wow. Because I know what. Again, most people thought he was going to be a big man coming in. When he was a senior, everybody kept calling him a big man, and he got tired of it now. And he kept telling people he's not a big man, but he didn't even, because he has so much guard skills for a small forward, a 6'8", 6'9" small forward. And he's one of the most I don't know how to put this in wording, but versatilely insane. Yeah, sure. You get my point. He's insane.
Yeah. So now I don't mean to.
Also have the pieces around him.
Now I don't mean to interrupt you, but have you mentioned Houston yet?
No, we have a while to go.
So Houston is actually ranked in NCAA's number 6 spot. So this is one of your biggest drops. So what have you not seen from Houston that has them put you so far down?
We're only at number 11, so we still got a while to go.
All right, let's hear some.
I have Houston at 14, by the way.
Wow, that's an 8 drop. Huh. Now Houston.
I haven't got the. Again, you gotta think, this is early in the season. I haven't got to watch some of these teams.
Now Houston is 6 right now. Last week they were ranked number 7, but you have them ranked. Did you say 14?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with it, but it's just interesting to hear that, because most of yours have been within 2 or 3, maybe 4 from the drop, but there must be something about this Houston team that you haven't seen or have seen too much of that you don't particularly care for.
Well, it's not so much about their team, it's about all the other teams that I've seen.
You think that it's not the fact that NCAA put them too high, it's that they put other teams too low?
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with what you just said about they put teams too low. Yeah, that's the reason behind it.
All right, so let's hear some more of your top 25.
Wisconsin is number 12. I haven't really got to watch them, but I know they're pretty good this year. Virginia, and one of the best running offenses in the entire country. And I know they've had a horrible loss But again, everybody has horrible losses, especially this year. Duke hasn't done that good, but I know their team is good. And I know this Virginia team is good. One of the best offenses in the country, can shoot the ball lights out. Houston, number 14, I haven't got to see much of them. I know what I do know is they're a really good 3-point team. Missouri, this team has been hyped up ever since the season started, but I haven't got to watch them yet because they haven't been on TV or they played a bad team, and I haven't really gotten interest from it. But I know they're since they are so high at 15. I know what they can do. I haven't got to watch them yet. I'll probably provide more once SEC play starts. But I know they have some really good up and coming players on the team. I forgot his name, but look. But yeah, they're pretty good this year. And at number 16, I have Duke. Again, the poll has them really low just because of what they've recently bad performances. But again, you have to think this team has so much talent. Just like this team is going through similarities of what this Kentucky team has gone through. And there's so much talent, but all these early struggles have caused them to be at 16. And I know this team is so deep. I mean, you have Jeremy Roach off the bench. You have DJ Stewart, who's insane. You have Cassius Stanley back. It's really good. Matthew Hurt. Although Matthew Hurt, for one thing, I'll do say this about him. He does lack defense. That's one thing that needs to improve. Number 17, I have Louisville. I've heard this Louisville team's pretty good, really good. Carlick Jones, a huge transfer. When he first transferred, I was like, I don't know if he'll be that good, but yeah, he's really good. I think he averages 18 or 20 a game. He's a really good playmaker. And San Diego State at 18, I haven't got to watch them much, so I'll just move on. 19, I have Ohio State. I watched them the other day. They started off pretty good. Got up 20 in the first quarter. Their offense was super good. They could drive it. They could shoot it. The defense was really good because they were up by 20, but that could have been because their offense got so out to such a hot start. North Carolina have 20. Most people like to give up on teams like North Carolina this year, but I don't. This team is really good. Caleb Love, I've liked him ever since he was in high school. And I know Roy Williams has been like, people have been saying he's kind of fallen off, but I disagree. I still have hope in this North Carolina team just because of all the talent. They have so much 4 and 5 stars on this team. Rutgers at 21. I don't know much about them this year. Michigan at 22. Haven't got the wait. I do know something about Rutgers. I lied. Cliff Omarui is really good. We were going to get him at one point, and then he went to Rutgers. No big deal now, because we got Olivier Sarr. 22 is Michigan. I haven't got to watch them much. Clemson at 23. I haven't got to watch them much. But since they're so high, then they must be pretty good. Off to a hot start. 24, Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham has took the NCAA by storm. Has kind of fallen under the radar lately here. Like, nobody's really talked about him, but he's had some crazy performances. In Richmond, I have at 25. Yes, Richmond, I have to have 25. I have them at 25. And that is because after seeing them beat us and after seeing them consistently put up good performances, but guess what? They did get blown out by West Virginia, but that West Virginia team is insanely good. Their defense and offense is good. When their offense is as good as their defense, West Virginia, then watch out. But I don't think that loss to West Virginia was that big of a deal.
Yeah, so the thing that I've just been kind of quiet and in the background looking at this. I'm seeing where you have put these people compared to where they are on the NCAA board, but I'm also looking at the amount of points that they received. Now, the way the points work in the NCAA ranking scheme is you get a certain amount of points, and those points correlate to where you're going to rank. Now, the players that the teams that you've put and flipped and stuff are the teams that have been closest to being flipped in points. Now, I'm pretty sure you had Rutgers and Ohio State flipped in 19 and 20. Rutgers and Ohio State was only divided by 4 points. So you are somewhat agreeing with these people, even though they're not in the exact numbers. They are within the exact turnout somewhat.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, I mean, this is the beginning of the season. There's a lot of teams I still haven't got to watch, so I'll try to do my best. As the season goes, I'll probably watch more and more teams.
How many more do you have on your list?
I'm done now.
You're done? You did all 25? I thought you only did 23.
No, I've done 25.
Huh. I guess I must have zoned out on those last two. So,
You want me to just read them in case people forget?
yeah. Read all 25 of them. No explanation. Just read them 25.
Yeah. Number 1, Gonzaga. 2, Iowa. 3, Baylor. 4, Villanova. 5, Kansas. 6, West Virginia. 7, Michigan State. 8, Illinois. My bad. 9, Tennessee. 10, Creighton. 11, Texas. 12, Wisconsin. 13, Virginia. 14, Houston. 15, Missouri. 16, Duke. 17, Louisville. 18, San Diego State. 19, Ohio State. 20, North Carolina. 21, Rutgers. 22, Michigan. 23, Clemson. 24, Oklahoma State. And 25, Richmond.
So, there you have it. That is Wyatt's AP.
There's some in this I'm still thinking about changing up. Like for example, Clemson or Oklahoma State, I could switch them. I'm really high on this Oklahoma State team. And Kansas, the more I think about it, I thought about putting West Virginia ahead of them at number 5 and leaving Kansas at 6 or 7. Maybe Michigan State jumping them, but I still like this Kansas team.
So that's the good part about this is this is going to become a segment. Like every Monday you're going to get, after all the college basketball games from that week, you're going to get Wyatt's updated list. I don't know enough about college basketball to talk, and Wyatt knows more about college basketball than any person I've ever met. However, the one thing that I can for sure say that I know more about Wyatt than is fast food. That's right. We're going to be starting our fast food bracket after Wyatt's great top 25. We're going to be doing our top 16 fast food restaurants, but we're going to be doing it in bracket style. Are you ready, Wyatt?
Yeah. Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Round 1. Number 1 seeded McDonald's versus number 16 seeded Pizza Hut. I think that this is a pretty much given one because this is from a website, and I don't really classify Pizza Hut as fast food.
Sorry, what was it? I wasn't. Oh, sorry.
McDonald's.
I'll go McDonald's on this.
I also will go McDonald's because I don't think that Pizza Hut is a fast food restaurant. All right, next one. Five Guys versus Culver's. Now these two.
Also, I love McDonald's.
McDonald's is a great restaurant. All right, Five Guys versus Culver's. Two places that have great burgers. However, one of these people or one of these restaurants by the end of this is going to be called by the two of us for having superior burgers. Wyatt, your thoughts?
This one's a tough one because I've never had Five Guys, and I've had Culver's once.
You've never had Five Guys?
Oh, no, I don't know why.
Then
For years, my dad, my brother have been like, Five Guys is pretty good, but I've heard it's expensive, so.
Five Guys is very expensive, and you live further out from those restaurants than I do. Now, I think I'm going to take the lead on this one because I've had both Five Guys and Culver's a good handful of times, and I'm going to say Five Guys. Now, it has a better burger, and in my opinion, it has better fries, even though Culver's is cheaper, and Culver's has more variety on the menu. Like, you can get chicken there, and you can get, like, fish there. However, Five Guys makes their potatoes in-house. Five Guys also has a juicier burger. It tastes better. The cheese is better. I just think that this has got to be a win for Five Guys.
Yeah, I guess. And I think that's what you're trying to say. Put more pride in their burgers. I'll go Five Guys because I've heard the hype for years. I've never got to try it.
Now, this next one is going to be pretty difficult for me due to the fact that these two restaurants couldn't be more different. We're going Hardee's and Sonic. Now, these are two very different restaurants, but I do have a very strong opinion about this because I like one of these restaurants far more than I like the other, but I would like to hear your opinion on it first.
I'll go Sonic 100%.
That's who I was thinking. Now, for me, Sonic has good wings. Sonic has good hot dogs. They have a good chili dog. I think it's just... I know people who like Hardee's / Carl's Jr., but I don't understand how anybody in their right mind could sit here and say that it's better than Sonic. Sonic is a great fast food restaurant.
I agree. I mean, Sonic has so much variety, and all their food is good. There's nothing there that's bad. There's nothing that's bad there.
Yeah, it's really hard to get something bad. All right, let's move on.
You have plushies, you have ice cream, you have anything you want there.
Like their milkshakes are even very good.
Oh, yes. Everything's good there.
All right.
I could eat the entire menu.
Wendy's and Panera Bread.
Wendy's 1,000, 1,000, 1,000%.
Now, this is where we're going to have our first disagreement. I like Panera Bread better, and the way we're going to settle this is we're going to talk about it first and see if we can convince another one, because I know Wyatt does not like Panera Bread, and I like Panera Bread just a little bit better. So Wyatt, persuade me to choose Wendy's.
Listen, man, you want that chicken, don't you, sweetie?
Wendy's has great...
You want that chicken.
Wendy's has great chicken. They also have a good chicken sandwich. However, when I go to Wendy's...
Listen, they have chicken. I think they have fish. I don't know. They have okay fries. Have... Like, Panera Bread is just plain to me. There's nothing there that...
I'm going with Wendy's only based on the fact that they have that 4-for-4 meal.
And just think about it. There's so much more to choose from, and it's more fun food. You don't want to go, all right, I'm going to go get lunch. I'm going to go to Panera and get me some bread.
I don't think Panera Bread only serves bread.
Oh, I've never had it, so...
All right, Dairy Queen versus Arby's. Now, I normally am going to let you talk first, but I'm very stubborn about this one. I think Arby's is a very superior restaurant.
This one's hard, man.
It is hard, but I love Arby's.
And I love Arby's curly fries.
Now let me explain this to you. Now let me explain this to you the same way that you were able to explain Wendy's to me. So let's just close your eyes and imagine. You just got your roast beef sandwich. You just got crinkle cut fries. And you just got some mozzarella sticks that are very oily and very greasy. You got a milkshake, and you got an apple turnover. Compared to Dairy Queen, who have great blizzards, but who has never gone to Dairy Queen and gotten a bad blizzard and thought, that's okay, just because it was a bad blizzard, it was still a good meal. No. Dairy Queen, if they fail on their blizzards, is an unsuperior restaurant by far. However, if you can go to Arby's and you can get a bad turnover, you still have a great crinkle cut fry set, and you still have a great roast beef sandwich.
I agree with that 100%, but you have a bunch of food there to kind of override that, and at Dairy Queen, you don't really have that. I mean, they have chicken and fries and stuff like that, but there's nothing insanely good every time at Dairy Queen that will be like, oh, if this is bad, then this will help it. At Arby's, you have the fries.
So
The fries are always good.
So we're both agreeing that Arby's is our champion for this round?
Yes.
Alrighty. Alright, next up, we have KFC versus Subway.
I'll go KFC.
I'll go KFC too. I'm not a big Subway fan for the same reason I think you're not a big Panera Bread fan. Due to the fact that on top of me just absolutely loving chicken, I don't really care for sandwiches.
Yeah, I agree. Subs are kind of like, if you want something quick, just go get that. But KFC has everything there. They have a whole entire feast. Oh, and everything's so good.
Now, I think that these next two are not... I think that these next two are not going to be hard at all. So I think we're going to do both of them pretty quick. The next two are Taco Bell versus Burger King and Zaxby's versus Chick-fil-A. Now, I'm going to pick Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A. I think that those are two... I think Taco Bell's a insane restaurant. It's one of my top 3 favorite restaurants. But I also think Chick-fil-A has one of the best 2 chickens in Owensboro. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And I'm picking Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell.
Well, would you look at that? So after round 1, we have McDonald's, Five Guys, Sonic, Wendy's, Arby's, KFC, Taco Bell, and Chick-fil-A. Let's go to the next round. McDonald's versus Five Guys. You've never had Five Guys. You've had McDonald's. I think we got to go with McDonald's.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, and also, I think I might as well just ask this on there. We need to go to Five Guys sometime.
We do. We should, on one of the podcasts, we'll go to Five Guys and we'll review their burger.
I agree.
We
should go there. We should go there since we've never been. And I just think it's just unfair to Five Guys that we're kicking them out of the bracket just because we never. I mean, I've never had it, but you have.
So look for.
I'm going McDonald's just because there's no time I've been that it's been bad.
Agreed. So look for a future episode of the podcast that has Five Guys in the name, and you know that on that podcast we are going to be reviewing the Five Guys burgers. And you know what? We might have a McDonald's burger there for comparison, and if that's the case, we'll go back and redo this list if we think that Five Guys is more deserving than McDonald's. Alright,
let's go.
Next up, the number 12 seeded Sonic versus the number 13 seeded Wendy's. Now, you had to sell me pretty hard just to get Wendy's in this, but I think that you're going to have to sell me even harder if you want me to pick Wendy's over Sonic, because my vote is in, and it is for Sonic.
Sonic.
That was pretty simple. No explanation, just a Sonic victory.
Sonic. I mean, dude, Sonic is so good. Me and you both know this. Sonic is so good.
We do both know it.
And also, they're fun foods. It's not no boring Panera Bread food.
You don't have to remind me that we kicked Panera out. Alright. Number 14, Arby's versus number 11, KFC. The place that I had to sell you on over Dairy Queen versus the place that we had the buffet. I'm thinking I'm going Arby's here.
This one's a toughie. I love KFC, and I love sauce like Arby's. I'm going KFC.
Ooh, so we disagree again. Let's sell each other. So I'm going to give you the same pitch I gave you the first time. KFC. Let's say that the chicken is bad, okay? Let's say that the reason you go to KFC is for chicken, and let's say the chicken is bad. You have mashed potatoes that are subpar, and you have mediocre mac and cheese.
Yes.
However, when you go to Arby's, and you get that roast beef sandwich, let's say the sandwich is bad. Let's say that you don't have a great experience with the sandwich, but you still have those.
You're gonna hit me with the superior fries, aren't you?
I'm hitting you with the superior fries, the superior mozzarella sticks.
You got Colonel Sanders over here. Come on, man.
two reasons. One, they're from Kentucky, and two, they have a mascot and Arby's doesn't. So, if you ever wanted to know what a BS bracket looks like, it looks like this. The fact that we picked KFC because Arby's doesn't have a mascot. All right.
Man. KFC, you don't mess with it.
All right.
KFC's good. Every time I've had it.
The last round of the Elite Eight goes like this: Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A. Now, for me, this is the hardest round of the bracket we've had so far.
Oh no! It's so hard. I'm gonna go with my favorite food. I'm gonna go tacos.
I'm also thinking Taco Bell. Now, that's got to be the biggest upset that anyone's ever seen in a bracket, other than that one year that Virginia got beat by Loyola Chicago. No, not Loyola Chicago. That weird,
UMBC.
What?
UMBC.
Yeah, UMBC. Yeah. It's the UMBC over... The Final Four goes like this. McDonald's. Here it is. McDonald's.
Your audio's cutting in and out.
Sorry. McDonald's versus Sonic. What are we thinking here?
Wow. You just put me on the spot. Oh no. Never get to have Sonic much, but when I have it, it's amazing.
Now,
McDonald's is always good just because it's McDonald's.
McDonald's always good, and so is Sonic. But like you've been saying the whole time, McDonald's is kind of the boring food compared to Sonic's is fun food.
Yeah, Sonic, and also Sonic has all that variety and slushies and ice cream. It has everything you want. And guess what? They're all great foods and foods that I really love, and I know you love. I'm going to go Sonic.
I'm also going Sonic. So Sonic, you've heard it here. Sonic makes it into our finals for the best restaurant. Here we go. KFC, Taco Bell. What are we thinking here? My vote is going to be a very easy Taco Bell. I mean, I wanted to eliminate KFC in the first round. You convinced me otherwise. I wanted to get rid of KFC in the second round. You've convinced me otherwise.
Why don't you love KFC?
KFC... listen, if KFC would have faced Chick-fil-A last round, Chick-fil-A would have won because I think Chick-fil-A makes superior chicken. I don't think KFC's chicken is that good.
This is so hard.
I'm going Taco Bell. For the reason, because we both love tacos, but also, I think the chicken from Taco Bell's chicken tacos are better than KFC's chicken.
Wow. No, I can't. This is so hard because I love KFC. Every time I have it, I always love that mashed potatoes and the chicken. I just love it. And I love Taco Bell because I love tacos. I love tacos.
I think we need to pick Taco Bell.
This is hard.
I think we gotta pick Taco Bell.
This is I think this is the hardest question I've ever been asked.
Well, I think the next round, whoever we pick the winner, having to go up against Sonic is going to be the hardest question.
Oh.
My vote is a strong Taco Bell.
I'll just go Taco Bell.
All right.
Because, it's my favorite food. I can't go wrong.
Now, here we go. Number 12 Sonic versus number 10 Taco Bell.
This is okay. Yeah. 2 hard questions back to back. Oh, this is so hard.
I think that I'm going to go with Taco Bell because the fun food that Sonic has, Taco Bell can match it in every direction. So the way that you've been talking this entire time about Sonic's milkshakes and their slushies,
I just had Taco Bell. I just had Taco Bell a few days ago. So it might be fresh, so that's why. Oh, this is so hard.
Listen, here's why I'm picking Taco Bell.
There's so much variety at both places.
The
Also, think about that. At Sonic, you have ice cream, you have corn dogs, you have chicken, you have...
But listen, the variety that they have at Taco Bell is in the food itself. Like, think of all the combinations that Taco Bell's been able to make out of few ingredients.
Yeah.
Like, they're a taco place that has like 50 things on their menu.
Chalupa.
Burrito, quesadilla. They had a breakfast burrito at one point made of eggs. I'm going with Taco Bell.
This is hard. Again, what's gonna put me over is because I love tacos so much, and I never get to have Taco Bell that much because my
So, do we have a winner? Is Taco Bell our favorite restaurant?
I haven't made a final decision yet. This is hard. And also, I'm also still kind of shocked that I'm also still kind of depressed that KFC's not in here anymore. There's a lot of fast food restaurants I love. Trying to pick a winner is really hard. But in the end, I can't go wrong with my favorite food. I'm going to go tacos.
Taco Bell. You've heard it here first. Taco Bell is the champion to our best fast food chain competition.
I'm sorry, Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders is so upset with you right now. Alright, guys, that's been another episode of the Benchwarmers podcast, episode 2. This should hopefully be out today, actually, because now it's Tuesday, because it's 12:18 a.m. It should be out today at some point, Tuesday, December 15th. Hopefully I'll get it edited. It'll be closer to night, maybe Wednesday, because I have practice tomorrow. But, yeah, thank you all for joining in. We're going to hopefully make an Instagram account for this podcast. Now, we don't know what it's going to be called yet. We don't know what names are taken. It should be linked in the description to this video. The thing we didn't do last time, Wyatt's podcast will also be linked in the bottom of this video. And so will his Instagram account. Make sure you go follow those pages. Thank you all for tuning in. If you've been with us this far, you've been with us for 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 40 seconds. Thank you all for tuning in. This was a great episode. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you, guys.